So our next speaker today is going to be Doug Stone. Doug just celebrated his 1-year anniversary of doing low carb. Let's give him a big hand. And so we'll have Doug tell his story also. Just kind of fill us in from the beginning. You know, where did you start and where have you come to?
Okay, well, I come from a long line of diabetics and carbohydrate addicts on both sides of my family. And so I've been for years knowing that carbs were a problem for me, and I've done just about everything I knew I could do to try to lose weight, try to control my blood sugar. Even went to inpatient treatment one time for 6 weeks, and just tried a lot of different stuff. And for about the past 3 years, I was working with a doctor to try to get my health better. And about a year ago, he recommended that I do a low carb, high fat diet, or some people call it a ketogenic diet. And so around that, I had made an attempt to do it on my own and didn't do very well. And around that time, I saw Dr. Anderson's card in my other doctor's waiting room and ended up going to metabolic coaching. So it was kind of something that I knew I needed to do. I'd done a lot of reading and a lot of trying to educate myself on dealing with carbohydrate addiction. And I read a lot of great stuff, but nobody seemed to agree on the solution. And so that was a challenge for me. I had all this great information, but the solutions seemed confusing to me. So once I got connected with Dr. Anderson and continued to do some other research, it seemed less complicated and more doable.
And so what were your blood sugar numbers? What were your kind of medical problems that you were starting out with?
The last blood sugar lab that I had tracked was 3 years. I mean, the last one before I had recent lab work done was 3 years prior. And at that time, my A1C was 11.3, which was blood sugars running somewhere in the 400s. And the last lab work that I had done, my A1C was 5.6, which I understand is normal.
That's normal.
Yeah.
So it's from 11.3 to 5.6, and what about your medications?
When my blood sugars were running 11.3, I was on the highest doses of 3 different blood sugar medications and 3 different blood pressure medications, and it still wasn't controlling my blood sugars. With my blood sugars at the 5.6, the normal, I've cut out about 2.5, 2 3/4 of the blood pressure meds, and the blood sugar meds, and about 2 out of 3 of the blood pressure meds.
So those are some great results. How do you do that? What exactly do you eat? What can you tell the audience that you've eaten to kind of reverse your diabetes?
Well, number one, just getting rid of all things that are obvious carbs, and then, like everybody else has said, just making sure what amount of carbs that what I do has in it. But I eat protein and fat basically, and protein and good fat. So moderate protein and quite a bit of good fat, and that is things like avocados, olives, use a lot of coconut oil, eat a lot of meat, eat cheese, sour cream, butter, all that kind of stuff, and decreased meds and blood sugar numbers, and lost about 50 pounds doing that in the past year.
What about, how do you feel? Because I know you had a lot of pain. Tell us that story.
Yeah, I had a lot of really bad joint pain and muscle pain, and just lots of inflammation, and I just felt bad all the time. I've been a diabetic for 22 years, and for the majority of that time, I just felt horrible, and a lot of times I couldn't even function. Dr. Anderson knows I have not historically been a morning person, and he apologized for having me be here at 8 o'clock this morning. But the thing is, I'm able to do that now. Before I got off the carbs, it would have been an impossibility. It wasn't about being lazy or not wanting to. It was that I just flat was unable to do it. And so everything about the way I feel has changed. I'm not sore in my body. I don't have the inflammation stuff. I have energy. I feel good. I never understood people that just randomly got up and did work or took care of things, because I felt too bad to just be a worker bee and do that kind of stuff. But yesterday, my wife and I were kind of thinking about how much we had to be grateful for and how different things are. Yesterday I got up and she had to work early, and I had a couple hours before I left the house, so I worked on the house for a couple of hours, and then I went and worked all day, and then I went and hung out with Dr. Anderson in the Metabolic Coaching Group, and did some other stuff after that. When I got home and did a few more things, and then last night I just had a lot on my mind, was thinking about today, and I said, I think I'll go for a walk, which I never felt like going for a walk.
That's insane, Doug.
I know. So I have sustained energy almost all day. I mean, I used to have these really severe dips in my energy. If I had any energy to have a dip in, I would have, times when I just crash in the afternoon. Just, life was just hard because I felt bad all the time. And now I feel great and I have energy, and I like my life. And I just randomly feel like doing things like mowing grass and washing the dishes and going for a walk. And I never felt like doing any of that before, and didn't do very much of it.
And so I'll just reinforce that. You've heard it mentioned several times today that people just felt bad. And what they always say is they didn't realize how bad they felt every day until they felt better. And then they'll cheat and eat some hamburger buns or whatever, and then they get back to feeling bad, and they think, oh, I used to feel like that all the time. What about, do you ever eat out, Doug? What's some practical eating out tips for the audience?
I eat out, and I can eat pretty much anywhere. I work kind of long days in the beginning of my week, so a lot of times I'll stop by Market Street, get a rotisserie chicken, take it to work with me, or I eat eggs almost every morning for breakfast just because it's easy and I feel good when I eat that. So, and I just keep it simple. But once in a while we do some alternative recipes for low carb pizza, low carb enchiladas, stuff like that. But that's kind of an exception. I don't do that all the time. And I've found that as metabolically challenged as I am, that I have to be a little stricter with what I do than what I've heard some of the people at Metabolic Coaching talk about, how they deal with things. Some things that other people can do, I don't seem to do well with, so I try to stay away from certain things. I think I have to be a little bit more strict than some people do. But I've been a diabetic for 22 years too before I started, and so from my estimation, my weight loss has been slow, and sometimes I plateau and I don't lose weight right now I'm kind of in a plateau. I haven't lost weight for several months. But if I look back over the big picture, in the last year I have lost 50 pounds. So that's something, but it can feel real frustrating when you're in that place where you're not seeing a lot of changes, when you have seen them. And so I think if you're really metabolically challenged, or you're really obese, or you've been a diabetic for a long time, you have to be extra gentle and extra patient with yourself and get a lot of encouragement.
And so what about the mindset, or how do you think about your mindset that's helped you be able to stick with this, and that's been, that the audience could think about the diet?
I really like to talk about the physical part of carbohydrate addiction and why low carb is needed, because I think one of the most exciting things for me is that once you get the carbs out of your system, that driving, craving, and just wanting to eat all the time, it just goes away. And so it becomes about 90% of it's not about willpower anymore. If you just eat the right thing, your body doesn't crave it. And I'm rarely ever hungry. Now, don't get me wrong, I like to eat and I do eat, but I'm hardly ever hungry. My wife asked me last night something about being hungry, and I said, babe, I haven't been hungry since October 2nd of last year. But I do eat.
That's something that happens pretty fast, is that as your blood sugar normalizes and your blood sugar levels out and stays normal instead of going up and down all day long, then you kind of lose that hunger that a lot of people suffer with.
And you're looking at a chronic dieter and somebody that's done a lot of stuff to try to get the weight loss and blood sugar, and nothing ever worked for me. And if it did, it didn't work very long. And so to have that, that just constant struggle and fighting and white knuckling not to eat go away, that's huge. That's a miracle in my life for sure.
And one piece of advice that you had given people was eat until you're full. And so on this sort of diet, I mean, how do you eat? Do you portion control, little bitty portions, or what?
No, actually, as I've gone along, I've tweaked my process some, but a lot of times I eat fairly big meals, and I might only eat twice a day. Sometimes I'll eat 3 times a day, so I eat 2 pretty good sized meals and maybe 1 snack. But I just found, because the hunger is not there very much, it's convenient for me the way I work and everything. If I just eat a big breakfast, eat something for dinner, and if I need to, I'll eat something in between. Like sometimes I've had some other health issues that I'm working on, like adrenal fatigue and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll feel something going on with that. I feel like I need some support. So I'll eat just to keep my body going like that, but it's not about hunger really.
And one thing from Doug's story is that he's celebrating a 1-year anniversary. And I don't know if you caught the part in Dr. Mike Bailey's video, but he's been doing this for 5 or 6 years. And so people often say, well, a low carbohydrate diet, it's not sustainable. You can't sustain it. Yeah, you can. You can sustain it. And Helena, how long?
Going on 3 years.
Going on 3 years. And so, yes, you can sustain it. And if you're a type 2 diabetic, you're insulin resistant, then you need to sustain it because your body can't tolerate the carbohydrates. Do you have any other kind of real world tools or things that people can think about when they walk out of the room?
Just keep it simple. When you're getting started, if you just maintain the idea of 20 grams of carbs or less, moderate protein, and initially high fat, it's really that simple. And I think if you just keep that in your mind and you're really watchful, especially about the number of carbs that you eat, then, if you need to tweak some things later, you can. One thing that I didn't know for almost the whole year that I've been doing this is that when we talk about low carb, high fat, you're talking about the dietary fat or the fat that's on your plate combined with the fat that's on your body that you need to let go of. So what I've realized is that some of the plateaus that I've had in weight loss might be because I was eating too much fat for the amount of fat that I needed to lose for my body. So I'm still in the process of learning things and exploring that, and I'm kind of tweaking those things, but just to keep it real simple, when you're getting started, I would say just be real vigilant about the 20 grams or less of carbs. Eat plenty of fat until you get fat adapted or until you become a fat burner versus a sugar burner, and stay solid on your protein. And that's all you really have to worry about. And then if you need to later on tweak some things or make some adjustments, then you can worry about it. But in the beginning, just keep it real simple.
And Dr. Eric Westman, who's an internal medicine doctor at Duke, he puts all of his patients on this very low carbohydrate diet. And when he does, he tells them to cut their diabetes medication in half the day they start. Because it's powerful. When you stop eating the carbohydrates, the sugar gets normal very quickly. So my advice to everyone in the room is talk to your doctor. Be sure to talk to your doctor before you do anything, because low blood sugar can be as dangerous as high blood sugar. Any message of hope for the audience?
My message of hope would be for the diabetics, the morbidly obese, and those that have struggled for a long time with carbohydrate addiction. And I think the most hopeful thing I have to tell you is that if you'll just do the simple plan that I just talked about, that driving hunger and that driving craving that feeds the carbohydrate addiction, about 90% of that will go away. And so it becomes less about willpower than it's ever been before in your life. It's really not about willpower, because I used to be a substance abuse counselor, and I still work with chemically dependent people and work with different kinds of addictions with people. And what I learned in my process of that over the last 30 years is that there's always something physiological and there's always a mental obsession with addiction. But you can't really deal with the mental and emotional part till you deal with the physical part. So if you just do the food according to what Dr. Anderson teaches, and maybe making some tweaks later if you have to, a whole lot of the willpower, the mental and emotional part will just go away. Now, you still have those issues to work on, but it's not quite mentally hanging on for dear life to hope you don't eat something you're not supposed to. Most days. Some days I still want to do that just because I like to eat. And, you know, you do have the mental and emotional part to deal with. But my biggest message of hope is, you know, a lot of the carby stuff, I don't eat it because I don't want to. And I think that's physical more than it is mental and emotional.
All right, thank you very much, Doug.